What's up, guys? It's Wolf with the Quarantine, and today I actually have a game by the name of Petting Zoo by William Burke. Now, Petting Zoo is going to be going to Kickstarter, so if you like what you see here, I will have a link right up there. If you'd like to support them, check out their page. It'll have way more information than I could cover here in this video. Now, Petting Zoo is a game that plays 2 to 3 players. It plays in about an hour, and it's recommended for ages 8+. Now, thematically, you are designing a petting zoo and trying to figure out where the tourists are going to be going and what exhibits they're going to see, and you're trying to rack in on money and stuff like that, and trying to screw each other over. System-wise, mechanically speaking, that's the word I'm looking for, it is very similar to a game that some of you may have heard of by the name of Machikoro, where when it's your turn, you roll a die, you activate some cards, and then you buy one of the cards. And your end goal is to buy, there's 4 end game cards, and you have to buy one of each, and once you do, you win. That's really how you play Petting Zoo. So let's just go straight over to how the game's played, shall we? Alright, as usual, I do have to state that this is a review, it is not a tutorial, so if I do mess up any rules, or if I do skip some, this should still give you a basic idea of whether or not the game is for you. The other thing being, this is a prototype copy of the game, so everything you see here, rules, art, gameplay, whole 9 yards, is of course subject to change. Okay, to set up Petting Zoo, what you're going to do is each player will get 4 coins. Then you will give each player their green entrance location. You will get their color of choice, pawn. This represents the tourists that are coming through your petting zoo. And then a d6. And then each player is set up that way. Then you're going to go ahead and separate all of these cards here in the middle by the type. So for example, all of these are ponies. They're all exactly the same. They have the same pictures, same numbers, same everything on them. The text and everything. But a few of the cards, like the bunny here, they have different numbers on them. Now, the rule book does not specify, and then I also couldn't get a hold of the designer, so all I was doing was shuffling these up randomly, and then this is the one on top. And then as you buy them, it reveals a new number. And then your ultimate goal is to buy these 4 gold cards. You have the gift shop, the rooster, the dolphin, and the kangaroo. These red cards are the ones you can buy that negatively and directly affect other players. But once you've done that, you'll go ahead and make sure all the coins are in the center of the table where everybody can reach them, and then now you're ready to play. So what you do on your turn is you will, before you do anything, you're going to take this die and you'll roll it. And what you're going to do is you're going to check the number, and then check first, your first roll, you will always check your entrance. So if your die was within these 2 areas, you would put your pawn on it, and you would do whatever the text says. So in this case, it says, let's see if it'll focus, there we go, +2 coins. You can only land on this card with your first roll. So, because I've landed on it, I would take 2 coins. Now, if I had other cards, well, let's back up. That would be my only turn, because you can only land on this card on your first turn, and I have nothing else around me. So after your turn, after you're done rolling and you can no longer move anywhere, you'll take this and you'll move it off. Then you can buy 1 card. So you're going to look here, and on the card you have the number that the dice roll has to be either exactly or between. If it has like 1 to 4 here. You have art. You have what the sheep is, a symbol pertaining to that card, or to that, to the animal, because some cards use the symbols. Then you have what happens when you land on that card, and then you have how much it costs. So, for example, I will go, you know what, I will spend $3, put it back in the bank, and I will buy, I don't know, we'll buy apple picking. So once you buy something, you've got to figure out whether you or not, or where you want this thing to be. Now, it can only be placed orthogonal to other cards. So I could put it here, 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 or here. So I'll go ahead and say toss it up here. And then later, if I buy something else, I could put it here. So of course, I'd slide these down. I could put it here, 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 here. There are some cards that talk about surrounding, which is orthogonal and diagonal. Diagonals are what you think, diagonals are the cards, and then adjacent is always orthogonal. So let's just say hypothetically, back up. I buy this card and I place it. Then my turn's over, the next player does the exact same thing. And then when it comes back around to me, I would roll, and let's say hypothetically it's a little further into the game and I have stuff like this going on. So it's my turn, I rolled a 3, and so I get to enter my entrance. This is the only place you can enter your petting zoo in unless you have a specific card, and I'll get to that later. But so I go here, I get my 2 coins. So I go here. And then I have the cards that I can go to, so I roll this again. I rolled a 6. So I can go here on a 2 or a 6. I can go here on a 6, here to a 5 and 6. I can't go here because I can't move diagonal. But I can go here. So I get plus 2 coins for every cow card surrounding this card. So I get 2 coins because there's a cow right here. So you see the cow card. So I would get 2 more coins. Then I get to roll this again because if I roll a 6, I'll be able to go up here. I can't go back here because it's not my first roll. So I'd roll again. And let's say hypothetically I did roll a 6. That one, my turn had been over because they can't move anywhere. But let's say I rolled a 6. I'll go here. I get plus 2 coins for all Paul cards diagonal to this card. There's none, but it was a place that I could move. So I roll this again. A 2, I can't go anywhere. But if it was, or sorry, a 4, I can't go anywhere. But if it's a 2 or a 6, I can go here. And then you're going to move your people around. And if I would have rolled another 6, for example, when I was here, I could go back to the ice cream parlor. And then I could do this, I rolled another 6, go back here. You could bounce between these, you can do whatever. The only tile you're not allowed to re-enter is the entrance. And that's kind of basically how the game works. You're going to roll this die to make your people roll around. Once they can't move anymore, then you're going to spend as many credits as you would like to buy a single card in the row. And that's basically it. Once somebody has bought all 4 of those gold cards, they win, and you're going to place them in your petting zoo. There are a few other little things like the aviary. It allows you get plus 1 coin, and on your first roll, you can enter your petting zoo through the aviary if you roll a 6. So a 1, 2, 3, 4, or 6, if you have the aviary, will allow you to enter into your zoo. Or if you buy the the gift shop right here, it says plus 3 coins, you now get in the entrance on a 1 through a 5. So if you have, say, this here, and then you also, say, I don't know, put the aviary here, now it doesn't matter what you roll in your first roll, your people are gonna either come here or here, no matter what. You can't see that one. I put the aviary right below this. But so I'll just put it up here. And that's all the game, that's how the game plays. So again, if you're familiar with Machikoro, it has a very Machikoro feel. Last thing I'm going to touch on are these red cards. So for example, this one here says plus 1 coin from all other players for every fork and knife card adjacent to this card. So if you take this and you just surround it with like ice cream shops and burger stands and more snow cone places and smoothie shacks and so on and so forth, you could start stealing a ton of money from other players. And so it is very heavily luck based. So let's go over to my final thoughts. Alright, petting zoo. Well, how I mentioned, it's very similar to Machikoro, so let me talk about that for a second. So I picked up Machikoro about, I don't know, a year ago, maybe 8-9 months ago, something like that. And I got the deluxe version that has all the expansions. And I did play base Machikoro where everything's laid out and whatnot, and it was an alright game. But then when you include those expansions where everything shuffles together and you only have so many cards that come out, and now it's all kind of random, and it does put in a huge element of randomness, but it does make the game a lot better, but you have to go in knowing that it's just primarily a super heavy luck-based game. There's a little bit of strategy with what numbers you're going to go into and playing with statistics and probability and blah blah blah. So I was a little intrigued with Petting Zoo because it's basically the same game. But when I got it, I realized this game is way different than Machikoro, because now you have that spatial element. Because not only are you now worried about these numbers, you need this number to this number, but now this number to this number needs to be, where are you going to place it? Because it's going to be hugely relevant as your people are moving around. And honestly, that makes this game, in my opinion, leaps and bounds better than Machikoro. I probably will not play Machikoro anymore, and I would rather play Petting Zoo, because it's just a better Machikoro in my opinion. And I kind of hate to say that, but I also kind of don't, because I like Machikoro, but it's a very meh game. We don't play it very often. But this one is a lot of fun because every card that you buy, they're all relevant, always, because you're still only rolling the 1d6, and then where you put it. And I can't tell you how many times that I'll roll a die and go, oh man, if I would have put that over here, like I was talking about earlier, I would have been fine. And it's such a good concept. You take Machikoro and add a spatial element to it. That's really all they did. And it works so well. And then the cards are small. It does take up a bit of real estate because as your petting zoo gets bigger and starts spreading out, and you still got to keep that center row where you can buy from and whole 9 yards. It's really cool. To be completely honest, my 9-year-old daughter enjoyed it. My wife's enjoyed it. Everybody that's played it really enjoys it because it's super simple, but it also has a surprising amount of depth to it. And then when you add it's no secret I don't like luck-based games that much. I'll play them, sure, but I'm not a big fan. But this, where, yes, it is very luck-based, but you can mitigate a lot of that by where you're placing those cards. So if you try to make it to where each card is always surrounded by most numbers, you're going to be able to move around a lot more, but you're not always going to be able to do it because you're going to have to move. You can't stay on the same place. So depending on how you're placing things, there's always going to be one number that's not represented, or actually 2 numbers, potentially, depending. I mean, because some of the numbers range and whatnot. But for the most part, you're always going to be missing one number every time. So there's going to be that one time you're going to roll and you're going to go, oh no, that didn't work. Or maybe you needed a different number to be able to get to an area that you have a guaranteed chance, or just all kinds of things like that. And it's just a really, really good game. It's super simple. Plays in about an hour, maybe an hour and a half if you're playing with 3 players. Which brings me to probably my one real negative about the game is such an odd player count. 3 players. 2 to 3 players. I'm not really sure why they limited that. It might be because of a review copy or whatnot. I don't know if the final copy is going to play more. But I think the game would be really, really cool with like 5 players or something, and then add more of those cards that directly affect each other. And that's probably my other big downfall from the game is aside from those cards, there's not a whole lot of player interaction. You're really just playing a multiplayer solitaire game. Really all it is. You got your own little petting zoo, you don't really care what they're doing, and that's it. You're kind of paranoid, like, oh no, they're getting close to enough points to buy the last thing, and that's really it. And so if I had to pick 2 negatives for the game, it would definitely be lack of player interaction and such an odd player count. Other than that, the game is outstanding. I highly recommend checking it out if this sounds interesting. Again, the link is up there. So that is my review for Petting Zoo. If you like the channel, I have a Patreon right up there if you'd like to support that. Any little bit helps. I also have a Twitch and Twitter that I'll have down in the comments as well. If you'd like to give me a like, comment, and subscribe, I'll see you guys next time in the quarantine.